There she is. Hey, Joyce. Let's see. Yes. Accept.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay,
I'm
awesome. Sorry.
getting all weird.
I had something flying to my eye just as you were logging on. How was your day? How was your Saturday?
I worked. It was
Oh boy.
a busy day.
Busy's not that bad though. It makes the day go faster.
Yeah.
I once a month my parents' church has food distribution.
Hmm.
So I've been involved in that maybe about 9 months now. And today we had some amazing people show up to volunteer. So a lot of new faces. Um, some of the things that we had today to offer wasn't just food. There were a lot of we partnered up with a medical distribution company who
Yeah.
brings a lot of things. Um, and I have a side hustle where I clean out abandoned homes, foreclosures, um, some other units that you know needs to be cleaned out, and I get to cherry pick what I want and pull it out. And I bring a lot of houseware and clothes and stuff. So today was just amazing. We had a lot of stuff. It was a beautiful day. It was a really nice day. So I can't complain. All right, we got a lot of people filing in. We're going to give it just about a minute, and then we're going to get started.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, there's Grizz. I see Grizz. Ah, Joyce, can you hear me? Is the audio okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. If we can hear each other, that means on the replay, the audio is going to be good. Maybe
Yeah.
some places, some people on the live, the audio won't be well. So, okay, when do we get started? All right, welcome everybody to this week's podcast, 3 Plus Me. Today is Saturday, May the 6th, 2023. Our guest today is a guest we had on prior, and it was not planned. It was something that she was able to share a little bit about what she does.
Hmm.
But we wanted to give her an official appearance today as our featured guest. I'd like to welcome our guest, part of our community people, our community members, and of course, my friend, Joyce Foskin.
Hi.
Joyce, welcome to our podcast
Well,
this week.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Aloha. I wish I was
Very
in
good.
Hawaii, and I wish it was 8 o'clock, but it's actually 11 here. So,
Yeah,
um,
it is late for you, so I wanted to be mindful of that. Actually, it's only 5 o'clock here in Hawaii,
oh, okay.
so I think you're 6 hours ahead where you are on the East Coast. It is a beautiful day. It's very sunny. We've got a lot of trade winds happening the next few days, so it's going to be a really nice day. It's a good day to go to the beach. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Well, it was 70 here. So, but I'm in my basement, so I have like winter clothes on because it gets freezing. I did a live the other day,
Yeah.
and towards the end I'm shaking, and I'm like it
Oh
gets too
no.
cold in my basement. So,
Is it now? Forgive me for being ignorant. We don't really have basements here in Hawaii, but is the basement usually underground
Yeah,
on
it's
the
the
East Coast?
cellar. Yeah.
Oh, it's the cellar. Okay. Okay. Yes, our little islands here. If you go too far, you're gonna hit lava rock, and if you
Mm-hmm.
go even farther than that, you're gonna hit seawater. So we usually don't have basements,
Mm-hmm.
and we hate to hit seawater because that means our island will sink. So we can't do that. But that was just a stupid joke. Sorry about that. But welcome, Joyce, to our Three Plus Me podcast this week. Um, I'd like to kind of talk about some of your socials if we can. We always try and share our guest socials. I know you're on Instagram at Joyce
Yeah.
Boskin. Uh, I do believe you said something about a Facebook profile. Is that something
Yeah,
you
but I
also wanted to
don't
share?
use it very often. I'm kind of really focused on Instagram right now.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah, it's just right,
no
right
worries.
now. I have my friends on Facebook. I use it as just a friends type thing.
Gotcha.
This one is
I
more
think a lot of
for,
Yeah, I think a lot of people they use Facebook for more personal, and
mm,
business would be for Instagram and
yeah.
stuff like that. So that's totally fine. Is there a website you'd like to share with us, if anything?
Um, right now it's just my book.
Okay,
There is a
that's on
website.
Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon. I am part of a website for my next project for the autism book. So that's coming
Okay,
out, and once comes out, I'm gonna put it on my bio. It's a book I was collabing with a couple other people, and it was really close to my heart. So
hmm
they have a website on it, and I'm going to be promoting that and doing lives on that. So
that's awesome. I know we kind of talked a little bit in private about how that it's a personal thing for you. It's really a passionate thing for you. So that is something that I think a lot of people fail to do is, and I posted about this, I think yesterday, about finding something you're passionate about
mm-hmm.
and really going for that, really looking into it. I'll admit there was a time when I failed to find that passion in life, and in the result of not finding that passion, it was difficult for me to find joy.
Yeah,
But in me redirecting and focusing my energies and my thoughts, and like what you're doing now with this new book coming up, that's going to be exciting. That's going to be your second book, possibly third.
well, no, well, it's going to be a second book. I'm collabed with it. I did the art
Okay.
um, in this book. He Rod Parker is the creator, so he approached me with it and
Nice.
asked me to do the art for it. So I did that. And then I collabed because my daughter has autism. So
Okay.
I kind of talked to him about it. I think he has a grandson that has it. So a lot of people um, it, have autism. And I've met so many,
hmm
especially on Instagram. I have a few
Yep.
followers that are on the spectrum. So, um, I care about them. I care about all my followers pretty much,
Of course. Yes.
but I understand them, when they talk to me and stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, that is a passion. When I found out that my daughter was diagnosed late in life, I felt terrible in a way of not knowing because she masked herself very well, and a lot of kids do these days. So I'm working with her, and she's great. I did an interview with her probably about a month ago about autism, and she was awesome. She was like, she answered
Nice.
every question, and she did her homework when she found out she was diagnosed. So it was a better understanding, and a lot of people approach me on it. So it's all in the mind. They
hmm
don't have a look. People are
Yeah.
like, "You're not autistic." To my daughter, they said to her, "You don't look it," and my daughter's like, "It's not a look." So
Yeah. Exactly. And I think there is such a courage in people who I found out that they're diagnosed, whether it's at a younger age or an older age,
Yeah.
in life, where they're diagnosed with any type of disease or illness. There is some courage behind that
Hmm.
that is recognized by the person themselves. And I think I've known a few friends, close friends, who were diagnosed with autism. And I did do a little bit of research on it because I wanted to understand how to communicate with this person better.
Yeah.
And it really it opened my mind to a lot of different ways of how to communicate effectively.
Hmm.
And it's not a different language, but it's an understanding of what to say, how to speak,
Hmm.
the moods to set, and stuff like that. So um, it was sometimes it was difficult because one of the people that I was communicating with was still a child, and I think a lot of times when we don't understand what's really going on with either a child or an adult, whether it be OCD or ADHD or any other type of illness or disease, for a lack of a better term, um, it's difficult for others to know how to interact with them.
Yeah. And understanding. I mean, the world is just a mixed bag of everything. I see
Mm-hmm.
kids that are artists, and and they get depressed because they don't get enough followers. There's so many artists out there
Mm-hmm.
um, that just have that gift, and I'm always encouraging them, and just want to make sure that they are being accepted, because
Mm-hmm.
the art world can be cruel sometimes.
Oh yeah,
I've seen some
definitely.
drama on it, and I'm like, no, don't do that. um that's the mama bear in me, I guess. but
Yeah.
um but it's just understanding, it, understanding some people's illnesses and gifts, and accepting everybody for who they are.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
um and I always say to artists, I wish I could, artists come to me, I wish I could draw like you, and I'm like, no, draw your style and perfect it, because
Yep.
everybody draws different. It's, if your style is close to a Disney style, draw that style, but perfect it. It's your style, so the same thing with writing, so um I never thought I would write a book, but I did. And my history, but I'll probably repeat it again.
It's
Is
okay. We want you to repeat it here. This is
Yeah,
the time to do it. So let me ask you some questions, if that's okay.
yeah,
What
sure.
what what was your foundation, or how did you begin to even say, I want to do art, I want to create art, whether it be painting? I know you've done some pencil work,
Yes.
as well as the digital.
Hmm.
And I've already looked through a lot of your posts on your Instagram,
Yeah.
and I find that so I don't know if I've seen this correctly. Please correct me if not. But I noticed that your digital work, especially with the fairies
Yeah.
that you've used
Yeah. My
for
fan.
your book,
Yeah.
there is a different feel to your pencil work.
Yes.
If that makes sense. There is a definite, you can clear, well, I can clearly see there's a definite difference between your pencil work and your digital work. Whether it's the type of um, the medium that you have to use, where pencil, paper, and a digital computer, you can tell there's a difference. And honestly, I think I prefer your pencil work
Oh,
because for me, I deal a lot with energy,
yeah.
and just looking at the work that you create, the ones that I've seen, there is a certain energy that's put behind that. There's a certain energy that is such a different type of creation when it comes to you putting that pencil to paper
Yeah.
as
And
compared to digital.
so, I'll give you a little history. When I started drawing, my father taught me how to draw back in not
Oh
seventh
wow.
grade, first grade, when I was 7. I think my first thing he taught me how to draw was a horse. So, but I kind of went from there, you know, and then I started drawing Disney characters and kind of went from there. But my medium was always pencil. Um, I didn't start doing the digital until like 3 years ago. So digital is actually new for me. It's funny because my daughter taught me how to do it. But it's funny because like, you know, and some friends on here are awesome, and they're like layer, and I don't layer. And everybody's like shocked, you don't layer your stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to layer, you know. So because I usually just do the pencil tool, and I end up just drawing it and then coloring it on digital. So you can see the process of my work, and now I'm starting to like use layering, and so it comes out a little bit more cleaner. With the pencil work, yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but it's a lot messier, you know, because you're doing the shading, your thumbs are charcoaled, and or the side of your hand is charcoaled.
Right. Right.
But you know, when I stopped for a while. I did art all the way up to college. I did illustration and graphic design, and I went to school for that. And with the drawing part, that's where I started drawing portraits, and
Oh
I
wow.
really enjoyed the portrait drawing. So, um,
Nice.
and that's why I kind of, you know, and then I, you know, lived life. I got married, had my daughter, and then things happened, and 7 years ago, almost eight, I lost my parents tragically.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what age you are, it's very hard to lose a parent. They were my support system, um, and you know, it was tough for me, and I kind of, you know, stopped all social media when that happened, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Sure.
was in a dark place, you know.
Yep.
um, I had to deal with everything. I had to deal with their house. I had to deal with my brothers, um, and it really took a toll on my mental health. Also,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I appreciate my daughter because she was, you know, by my side through the whole thing. And then, you know, it was funny because I taught her how to draw when she was in first grade,
Oh
and
wow.
she's an artist too.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, it's kind of funny when you think about it now. Um, she never liked me to draw with her. So I kind of stopped drawing because I was her competition, you know?
Right.
So I stopped, and I was fine with it. Like I said, I had my career and everything. And then after losing both my parents, I needed something to deal with my depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I started drawing, and I started pencil drawing for a while, and I was getting a lot of feedback from, you know, friends, and saying, you know, I was doing commissions, but they felt my art, and that was what was important. They felt the art um, when I drew it. So I just continued and kind of put my feelings, my energy into the art, and then I started writing. And with writing, I ended up uh, creating my feelings through my writing. And
Mm-hmm.
in my book right now, my life is in that book, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when I ended up doing the writing, I want, you know, everybody like I talked to um, decided to, you know, say, why don't you put your art in the book? And I'm like, I'm not going to do a graphic novel. That would take me years, you know what I mean? So I felt like if I wrote the book and then put my art in the back, it would, I would be satisfied with it.
Yeah.
There's people out there that are making comics and stuff, and kudos to them, because that would take me years. So instead of a year to write what I did. So, but with my art, when I started digital, that's when I joined Instagram in October. And I started putting my art out there, and I met some great people that, were cheering me on. I think at the end of December, I think I only had like 149 followers. And now it's getting kind of overwhelming, because within 4 months, I'm almost to 5,000. So it's just, it's crazy. It's been a crazy ride. I think once I hit 2,000, that's when I decided to publish my book. Um, so I would have a following, to purchase it, because I wasn't going to publish it when I had 149 followers. So, um, but so I had friends on here that, taught me how to publish it. So I had a really good support system on Instagram,
Hmm.
and I appreciate them all very much. And so when I ended up publishing it, that's when people were buying it and approaching me to do my first interview, um, about it. And people are like, you write like Stephen King, or you write like Stephanie Myers, you're the next Stephanie Myers. And I'm like, well, that's cool.
Hmm.
My biggest fan author is Neil Gaiman. So, I mean, I was taking a lot from him and his advice for writing. So, but with my digital art, I wanted to create, fantasy, because I've always been into fantasy, and I always wanted to draw beauty. So, um, and I just hope that, hey, there's a lot of people saying hello, everyone.
They're from our
um,
community. You know them
yeah, I
already.
know, I
Yeah.
see them. Um, so I ended up, doing the art there. And then a lot of people were saying that they were feeling my art, even the digital,
Mhm.
like the eyes. Everybody liked to see the eyes. So,
That's something I told you the first time we spoke.
yeah, it's the
That
window
there
to
was
the
something
soul.
beyond it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted the people, and it was cute, because, like, people are like, I really like your art. And I'm like, I really put my feelings into my art. And I'm always somber, because when I look at my art, everybody's not happy. I don't have a lot of smiling faces. There's a few, pencil drawings I did with smiles, but I didn't, I don't put a lot of smiles in my art. It's all like somber, or just still face. So,
I
but
think, if I may, I think there are many ways to tell a story.
yeah,
There are many stories to tell. Um, and I think the stories come from our personal experiences.
yeah,
Stories come from our day-to-day life. Stories come from people we surround ourselves with.
hmm
Um, and with your work. So what drew me to you the first time was, uh, because I've been looking at other profiles of people who are artists or people who are, any type of digital creators. And we had, a gentleman on here, last year, Art by Jordan. He is part of our community as
hmm
well. And I took a liking to his artwork because, one, it's local.
oh,
But
nice.
for me, it's I'm drawn to the energy that I feel from the drawings, the artwork, the energy from your different posts. And it's like, when I saw your work, there was this certain click in my head saying, man, I gotta get to know this person,
Oh,
because their artwork speaks so loudly. And it was within the eyes of one of your, I think there was one post that I saw of your female fairy. I can't remember her name,
hmm
but it was one of the first ones I saw several months back, and it just hit And it's like, I got to get to know this person. I have to find out who this person is. And that's really how we get our guests here is I look at their posts. I kind of feel their energy. I kind of feel their vibe. I throw out an offer or I make a connection. And when you and I connected, I was like, man, I need to get this person on our podcast. We need to share her work. Now, mind you, we are not an extremely busy podcast. We don't have thousands of people on here. But part of what I like to do is to feature creators and guests
Mm-hmm.
and other people in our community who have a story to tell, who have stories to tell.
Yeah.
I got a million of them if you let me speak all night, but it's not about me. It is about our guests.
Yeah.
And I like having a conversation with our guests and picking their brains and getting some ideas and kind of finding out a little bit of history about them, like how you started with your artwork. And I think it's so beautiful that you pass that on at that almost the same age, and
Yes.
your father did it with you, and now you're doing it with
Yeah.
your daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if she feels like her competition, possibly. I think I feel like she has a style of her own, and
Oh,
she's not
yes. Yeah.
sure if maybe it would be accepted by many, but she'll never know until she puts it out.
Yeah.
You know?
And she was a digital baby, so her art was all digital
Mm,
from since in first grade.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So she was the expert. And there I am walking with my iPad blindly, like, okay, what do I do? How do I shade? How do I blend? What am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she taught me a lot, and she had patience with me. Um, but like I said, I draw pretty much every day.
Good.
Um, it's still my therapy.
Yeah.
Um, I always say I'm an artist first, and then a writer, but I'm really trying to push my book out there, and I appreciate everybody. I made 3 book trailers, and the first one I put out was 338,000 people viewed it. And I was like,
Okay, I gotta tell you that. I have to tell you this. I know you sent me the reels, the little mini movies that you did,
yeah,
and I'm
yes,
thinking she can't tell me that she's not uh, she's not familiar with digital art or making digital reels or making movies. Man, they're like a professional production. I'm like, my mind is blown. There's music, there's segues, there's graphics across the screen. I'm like, man, she can't tell me she doesn't understand the digital world.
well, it's
They were
pretty
beautiful.
easy. I just put my wording in it, my art, and anybody can do it. It's iMovie on the iPad, so
But still,
they
I mean, okay, so you have to pick the wording, you have to pick the art you want to put in, and then of course you have to think about the song you want, so it all blends smoothly together.
yeah,
So and then you have to put what artwork first, what artwork
yes,
last, what's
yeah.
next, the segues.
It's still a
So there is
technique,
a
but
lot of
it pretty
yes.
much, comes together at the end, and you're like, okay, this is cool, So, and
And well, I
like I
think it's still you creating. It's still
yeah,
you being an artist, even if it's digital. And you're using an app. It is still you creating, and I love that. I love people who create. We have creators in the world.
mhm,
We have viewers in the world. We have the audience in the world. But I think a lot of times our creators, especially the smaller time creators, I believe they don't get the recognition that they deserve.
yeah,
And that's
exactly,
kind of where we come in,
yeah,
and we like to have put new people in faces, new people on that on our YouTube channels, on the Instagram, and feature them and say, take a look at what Joyce is doing. Take a
yeah,
look at her
yeah,
artwork. Take a look at and if you so I was scrolling through your Instagram today before we started our podcast, and I was kind of looking back and I noticed like I kind of noticed this with a lot of artist friends.
mhm,
There is an evolution of your art.
yes,
and you can see from, of course, your first work that you put up, and you put up your best at that time. And as you continue to grow, it's, I think, artists or drawing or creating, it's just like driving. If you don't practice it every day, you're gonna get rusty at it. And
Yeah,
I
you
think
get better.
I like
You
the
get
fact,
better, and
right?
so when I wrote the book, what I did, and I put my art in the back, I did that art probably about almost 2 years ago. So
Wow.
that's 2 years ago of art that I kept in the book because I just felt that was what I was feeling back then, and
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to keep it in the book. And then of course I updated the characters later on, um, just recently to see the difference of my art style from then and now. But I really wanted to keep the original art pieces that I drew when I wrote this book. So,
Right.
um, what I like too is, oh, somebody's following me. Hi.
That's
Um,
Tina. Thank you,
oh,
Tina.
so with the book itself, in the back of the book, let me show you, I have, the original art
Oh,
from it
cool.
in the back. So, um, and I really wanted to keep that art style in.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool,
I don't know.
man.
And that stuff is on my reels too, like when I was promoting the book and everything. So, but just hearing everybody's feedback about it, I was insecure about publishing it.
Sure.
I didn't think it was good enough, but when people read it, they're like, "Joyce, you got to publish this. This is just amazing." I
Yeah.
couldn't put it down. So
Mhm.
um, and so with the help of everybody on Instagram and the friends I have here, they really pushed it, and I was just flabbergasted of how many sales I had the first 2 weeks. I was here.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
or when I published it, and I'm only a self-published author. I'm not like, I didn't use a publisher. But anybody can self-publish. I think I inspired so many people to write their books. That's why I kept on asking you, how's your book coming? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I
I'll just say
love,
I'm making progress.
I, yeah,
I'm making progress.
yeah, I love the DMs that I'm getting that, people want to publish or people need help. Can you read my little bit of, story? What am I
Hmm.
doing wrong, or what am I doing right? I always advise writers to create from experience. So get your experience out there, like the experience in my book is part of my life. Even though it's a fairy tale or a fantasy, I put real world issues in there, real places, where my character comes from, Eve. The house is in Cowell, Germany. You know what I mean? So this is a real
Uh-huh.
place that is surrounded by the Black Forest. And the town, I did the research on the town. Um, I did research on the fairy realm, so I mean, I figured out what they ate. I figured
Wow.
out their mythology, different types. Put my own spin on it. But
Uh-huh.
when you read it, you think, when you look it up, you'll actually probably see that this is where I found it or whatever. Um, but I always encourage people when they're writing to write their life, write what they know, because that's when people are feeling your writing. Um, and another thing I always tell young writers, I'm a young writer still, um, even though I'm not young, but
I
but
asked you
maybe
are
I'm a new writer.
new writer. There you go.
Yes, but we're all young writers, when we
Yes.
first do our books. Um, is what I've learned back in, I think, when I took creative writing back in high school. I had a great teacher, and every day when we would go into that class, he, depending, it didn't matter what day, like what type of day it was. One day it was raining. He made us stand outside in the rain, and we had to stand outside, get wet, smell the air. How are we feeling after we're getting wet? How does it feel getting wet? And then he would ask us to go in and write about it. So it was all based on, senses. And that
Right.
is the big thing with writing is your senses, knowing,
Mm-hmm.
setting up your story, the smells. I always say to people, don't tell the story, show the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is that character feeling? Put those feelings in there. What are they smelling? What are they tasting? That helps bring, um, that you're in that moment. I think one person told, I think Ryan, he's the one that first interviewed me. He says, I wanted to clean Eve's house because, I wanted to help her so much,
Mm-hmm.
because of the feelings of how the house looked, and it was dusty and everything. So, um, but yeah, it's all about, I think, senses, feeling the moss, feeling the smells of the forest. And it's funny because my daughter also writes, and she goes, Mom, I do that all the time. Everywhere I go, I absorb everything. So I absorb the
Mm-hmm.
smells and the feeling I feel. So and I tend to do that too. So with this book, that's what I did. It's young writers, don't tell your story, show your story. So go
Mm-hmm.
out there and what does a car smell like? Go sit in your car and smell it. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then write about it. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
go into a forest after the rain and smell it. So it gets that sense of um relatability to people. Like if I'm describing what a forest smells like in the rain, people that have been in the forest in the rain, oh yeah, I remember that smell. You know what I mean? So um I
I
always look.
was a corporate trainer for a little while,
Hmm.
for a restaurant, a chef, a local chef. And my job was to go and train all new employees
Yeah.
for different positions in the restaurant. And I had someone who taught me how to train. And one of the things he taught me was to paint a picture with words
Hmm.
so that your descriptions, using your senses, your smell, your
Hmm.
touch, taste, the sight, the hearing, using all of your senses. And of course, now the sixth sense for me is feeling the energy. So
Yeah.
when I do train or work with someone, or sometimes even in my conversation, I get very long-winded when I write, when I text. So because of my training, I'm always painting a picture in words.
Hmm.
So if you close your eyes and I read it to you, you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. And while we're at it, I want to back up just a little bit because I think we need to give your book due diligence. The book we are talking about tonight is something that Joyce has put together. She has an artwork. There you go, Twilight Realm. Thank you for that. I want to make sure
Yeah.
we mention that. That's why we're here tonight. For those of you who are just joining us, we are talking to Joyce Foskin. She is the author and the illustrator or artist
Yeah.
of the book that you see now. She is also working on another project as a collaboration. I believe you said it was about a book about
Yeah.
autism.
Yeah. It's
Um,
looking into the mind of autism. So it's
okay,
it's
cool.
based on poetry and art, but yeah, so that's coming out soon. And like I said, once it gets live, I'll probably be doing lives on it. So, but
That's
there's going to
awesome.
be a website that's already being set up. I'm looking at it. So that's coming out, and that's going to be available on Amazon too. And some of the proceeds is going to an autism foundation, which is awesome. So, um, like I said, that's what I'm passionate about right now.
When
Um,
that does happen, will you please share that with me so we can share that with the communities and our followers, and Grizz and I can help you out with that, and just sharing it and make sure we get it into different eyes, because you have your 5,000 followers. I'm kind of happy. I'm now at 500 and almost 50
yeah,
followers, and I kind of like having a little small space for myself in the little corner of the little interweb that we're on. But I've had a couple people who has contacted me and said, "Hey, we want to take you to the next level. We like what you're doing. We want to move you over to another platform, blah, blah, blah." And I turned them all down. I said, "No, my place is right here, right now.
I
There's a
think
reason why I'm here, and I'm sticking to it."
I think like I said, my Facebook is private, so Instagram is all where I'm doing everything right now.
Mhm.
Um, but I have people approaching me, am I writing book two? Which I am.
I know I've asked you that,
Yeah, so I'm writing book
right?
two for Twilight Realm. It's going to be a 3-book series. But I also want to encourage people. It's on Kindle and on paperback right now, and uh, either way, whatever you best read. I mean, Kindle right now it's at $4.99, and my paperback is $15.99 US dollars, because I'm having some people in different countries, but it will show wherever there's a printing press. The book is print to order, so I
Nice.
don't have like 1,000 sitting next to me that Amazon actually prints and goes. Um, it's like I said, it's satisfactory when you have people buying your books, and I prefer to buy the book. I don't get a lot of commission on my book. I get more commission on a Kindle, but I want people to touch the book, feel the book. That's me.
Mhm.
I'm old school. There's a lot of people that are Kindle readers. Um, and they put it on their phone. You can get Kindle on your phone. I think it's free. I don't think it's you have to pay for it. But with the book itself, I just want to again stress out with people that if they're writing their story, to get it out there, and Amazon does a great job getting your stuff out there. There's a marketplace there that can market your book, um, which it's funny because I haven't started yet. Lazy me. But eventually I'm going to start marketing it. I have it, I think, worldwide.
Oh,
um,
nice.
um, but it tells you, and what's really cool about it, it tells you exactly the amount of money they're paying on their type of money, you know and they end up it breaks everything down
Yeah.
for you. So I think that was probably the easiest platform. I was kind of looking at Barnes and Nobles, but I'm gonna wait on that because I just really wanted to. Everybody's on Amazon, um, so I
I would think
figured Amazon would be
as
the best platform for it. So
I would think as a writer, as an artist, as a creator, to actually, like, I think like you, I would prefer to have someone buy a physical copy of the book, because there's just a whole different vibe about having that book with you. There are some people who can pick up a book, and if they love it so much, they can't put it down until they're finished with it.
mhm.
I'm one of those. I fall asleep when I read. I've always been like that. That's just me. But but I can talk forever. But there are times when I have to read and I still fall asleep. But
Yeah,
I like I like people who create.
Hmm.
I like people who have stories to tell. I like people who can have paint that picture for me in words. I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
I love people who can do that. And I think that's one of the gifts that you have is being able to paint a picture or paint a portrait with just words itself. I noticed that in our messages that you and I go back and forth at. I noticed that in your posts. I noticed that now in your book. You know, there's so much of um, creative spirit and energy you put into it, again, because of the passion. And I think that's only going to carry on to your next project, which is the collaboration, and the following project, which is a follow up to Twilight Realm. Did I think your post had a few new characters
yeah.
that you introduced for the upcoming book? It was Twilight Realm and something else after that. What was that?
So it was no, it was Twilight Realm. The Old Ways is coming out
Old
next year.
Ways. Okay,
The Old
yes.
Ways. So, um, but with the Twilight Realm here, um, it's just basically a sequel for the first one, and then the third one I'm planning on doing like a prequel. You know, like the beginning.
Gotcha.
You know,
That is
I
so cool. You're gonna have three, well, excuse me,
yeah,
4 books out.
yes,
That is so cool. I
yeah.
can tell people I know a famous artist, a famous author as well.
Well, I have to get my stuff out there first.
True.
You know, it's funny because when I wrote Twilight Realm, I know a lot of people don't like to read. Um, you know, I used to write short stories, and people can tolerate a short story.
Mm-hmm.
With this book, I only made it under 200 pages. The font is pretty big. So I wrote
Sounds
it.
like my kind of book.
Yeah, see? And some people did it in one sitting. Some person did it within 2 days, you know. Um, but when you read it, it reads like a movie. So just, you know, imagine and a smaller book, but it just reads like a 2 hour movie. You know what I mean? So, but it's all packed into there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's enough of everything to be satisfied when you finish reading it, like at end of a movie, you know. So
Yeah.
that, like I said, a lot of people don't have the patience to read. Um, I figured this would be the best way. You know, some people write like 400 pages, 200 pages,
Mm-hmm.
no, 300 or 400 pages, but I think the cusp of 200 or a little bit more is tolerable for people to read,
Mm-hmm.
especially since I'm making a series of books. You know what I mean? So I'm saying you know what I mean for a lot.
I
So
do. Let me ask you, what was the actual inspiration for writing the book? Was it wanting to tell your story, your life story, or was it to move your artwork to a different place, or was it to
what
practice writing? I mean, what was the motivation to you actually say, I need to write a book. I want to write a book.
I always was writing short stories, and I was a big fan of Neil Gaiman. And with his books, I've noticed I have all his books. I have signed books from him. He's my hero,
Nice.
you know. Uh, but he wrote a lot of books that were a collaboration of short stories in one book.
Mhm.
So
Kind of like a
Coraline,
Reader's Digest thing,
yeah.
yeah?
So it was
Okay.
like Coraline was a short story. You know what I mean? So when I did when I read his stuff, I was like floored. He was a fantasy writer, science fiction. I mean, he created the Sandman. He created American Gods, Norse mythology. Neverwhere was a great book. That was a big book,
Mm.
but that was a great book. My favorite was Stardust. It was actually made into a movie, and I was very sad that it wasn't the movie didn't do well in theaters, but it was a great movie because it was based on the book and they had great actors in them. So you know, when you watch that movie, you feel it, and I was
Yeah.
like so blown away by that. But when I started writing Twilight Realm, I ended up bringing my experience into it and bringing my love of fantasy. So, you know, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, um,
Harry
Maleficent,
Potter.
Harry Potter, you know, so the magic. And I think because I am a Scorpio November baby, um, uh, we all believe in magic. You know what I mean? It's just like we were born to believe in magic. So we always wanted that magic in our lives. So, but fantasy was my big thing. And I wanted to create a fantasy book that nobody read before or
Mm-hmm.
nobody seen before or heard. And I think this one did it. I mean, my daughter read it and she was like, "Mom, I read like 100 fairy books when she was a kid, all the way up to her age now." And she goes, "I've never read anything like this. This is so unique, so different,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so good." You know, like I said, it reads like a movie, and I want to create a movie out of it. Trying to get that out there. You know, there is a writer's there is a writer's strike, so if they
Yeah,
need anything, I'm right
I know.
to.
I saw that. I saw that. But that's okay. We're gonna put that out in the universe. We're gonna put that out in the
Yeah.
universe. Okay. We're gonna believe in it because we are magic believers. We're gonna believe in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But
Let me ask you what was the most difficult part about writing this book? What was the most
the
difficult part for you?
the difficult part for me was when Eve lost her mother. Was a big. It was hard for me.
Without giving away too much now, because we want people to get the
Yeah,
book. Without giving away too much.
I'm not
But
giving
okay,
away
so
too
there was
much.
a
I'm
loss.
not. I'm
Okay,
not.
good. Okay, good.
Because it's in the back of my book. Eve loses her mother.
Mm,
But and that starts a mystery of Eve's mother's past, that she inherits a German farmhouse that was based that her grandmother owned, and she never knew her grandmother, so she ended up um, you know, inheriting that and learning her mom's past from there. But the hardest parts to write um, emotionally were the
mm,
death of the mother, and there was one part where a character's um, grief comes out, and with that grief, um, that was the grief of my father. You know what I mean? When he lost my mom, and I put that in there, so it was very, very hard to write it, but I knew I had to because that's the only way um, to get it out. First of all, and second of all, people to feel it, to relate. You know, that grief is different with everybody. You know, some people can hold their head up high. Some people, like my father, cried every day when my mom died. Um, so it was, you know, I saw that, I witnessed that, and that's what I put in the book, that part of grief. You know, so um, but you know, overall, it is a good book, and it has a happy ending. So,
you know, as
the other hard part about writing this book, um, was the battle scene, because I had to be strategic into writing it, because I'm like, okay, if guys are going to read this, you know, I have to do a good job. You know, I can't overdo a battle scene that they'll get bored with, but I can't underwhelm them either and be
mhm,
like, battle scene over, bye. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I had to really write the battle scene in a way that still gets guys interested. And every guy that's read this book, I always ask him, what do you think of the battle scene? You know what I mean? And they're like, oh my God, it was amazing. It was so cool. Yeah, you know. So I was like, okay. So I that was probably the hardest thing for me to write, was the battle scene.
you know, I
So
think part of the book, this book for you, what I'm understanding is not only personal telling your story, it was also somewhat of a healing process for you and therapeutic.
Yes, it is therapy. My art is therapy, and so is my books. So, just I want to make people happy, and
Mhm.
I've always done that all my life. I always put everybody else's feelings out before mine. Um, but I just want them to be satisfied, happy. Um, eh, have them feel good about what I wrote. I'm a very nice person. I'm very kind. Um, um, I'm, s- I'm, I don't know. People tend to relate. I don't know if it's my energy, but people tend to relate to me a lot, and they, I don't. People can read me, but they can't believe how nice I am. And it's like, but I've always been nice. It's
Mhm.
I don't judge anybody. I don't. I listen to them. And I think that's a big key too is listening to people, um, and listening to their stories and stuff, and absorbing that, and taking that in and putting that into your experience because. Um, as a career person, I'm a career woman. I do a lot of sales, so I listen to my guests that come in,
Right.
and I relate to them. I throw out one of my stories to them as we're talking, and they're
Mhm.
like, "I want to be your friend forever. Can we go out after?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?" But they would come back, and have a conversation. I made a lot of friends at my work, and it wasn't just employees, it's people coming in, customers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they always say you have this way about you that we just want to hang out with you, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um
I think that comes with age and experience and maturity.
mhm.
Um, I used to do sales as well for a few years, and one of the things I learned was to be relatable to your client,
Yeah.
so that they don't feel like we're overpowering them or overstepping them, but be relatable and listen. There's going to be keywords that they're going to tell you exactly what they need.
Mhm.
So listening is a big part, and the trainer that trained me said that in order to be a good speaker, you need to be a great listener first,
Of course, yeah.
and that stuck with me, and it really helped. I did well in sales. It was actually in the insurance business, um, and it was a time when I had three jobs. So I was working at a restaurant in the morning at a resort, and then I was doing airlines at night because I had a new child. And then on the side, I was doing on my off days doing door-to-door visits selling insurance, and it just took a toll after a while. But
Mhm.
when I look back, I had made so many friends working in the sales position more than I did in the other two jobs
Mhm.
because I was relatable then. The other jobs, I was either a manager or under somebody else, so you know how that works. But when I made myself relatable to others, like which is what you do now, and I'm trying to make a point here. When you make yourself relatable like that, when you actually listen to what the other person's needs are, when you listen to what the other person's feelings are, uh, with that experience, with that maturity, and your creativity all put into one, and the good vibe that comes up, there's nothing else that can come out but goodness.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what Joyce has.
Yeah.
The ability to take whatever situation, be relatable to it, understand it, not be prejudiced or discriminatory towards it,
Mhm.
and just share her love, her experience, and even offer guidance. You know, if I may back up just a second, you were talking about your dad and your mom.
Mhm.
Of course, you know that I do have certain abilities, and I won't say much, but I'd say this much. I can relate to your dad,
Yeah.
and I can sense and feel that there was so much heartbreak on your dad's part
Hmm.
and his energy, and possibly, maybe, that's one of the biggest reasons why when he moved on was not necessarily an illness, but it was because of a broken heart.
Yes. He died. He
So
died 6 months after my mother.
I remember you saying that,
He
but as you were speaking about it, I'm
mhm,
not sure if your dad was stepping forward,
mhm.
but I did feel that male energy that was coming forward and saying, listening as you were speaking, that he kept relating to me that there was such a heartache that he had,
Oh yeah.
such a
He
heartbreak.
I mean, I love them both. I like I said, it's very hard losing a parent.
Sure, yes, absolutely.
But losing two within a year was like um devastating. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, like I said, I've never felt alone. I never felt like I was an orphan. I mean, I felt like an orphan when that happened. So, like I said, they were my support team, and they were very. They loved me, and they loved my brothers so much. My father used to tell me and tell all of us, thank you for being you. Um, so I say that a lot to people
Hmm.
because he would say that, or he would say, I love you very much, or I love you so much, was another thing. But the thank you for being you, if anybody said that to me, I would just like I had to walk away. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh my
Hmm.
God. Yeah, I mean, it's such a great thing to say. Because you are you, everybody's an individual. I'm not going to be somebody else. I'm going to be Joyce. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, but he always used to say that. He said that to my daughter. Thank you for being you. So,
Hmm.
it was a big, big thing for him. He cared, and they both did. And they loved my daughter so much. Um, I think when my mom passed away, she was very ill, and she didn't feel like she lived long enough. And I told her she did. She traveled the world. Um, you know, I think she really wanted to see my daughter grow up. And at that time,
She is.
my daughter,
She is.
yeah, she's watching from above,
Hmm.
um, but I think she really wanted to see her grow, and and um, and that's where she was saying I didn't live long enough.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it was very, very hard. She died of a rare brain disease. So it consumed her for in 2 years. She was
Hmm.
like completely healthy, and then,
That's very quick.
yes, very, very quick. Um, so, and I think the most frustrating part when she was ill, I was very angry because I couldn't control it, and I couldn't
Hmm.
control the fact that the doctors didn't know what she had until after she passed. So it was very frustrating time because, as being a mom myself, seeing my mom, going through that
Yes.
pain and trying to do
Hmm.
whatever I can to help her.
Yeah.
Um, it, I had the strong face. I was the one in charge. I was the one in, um, I couldn't show her that I was upset or I was crying because then she would know. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? There's something really
Yeah.
bad wrong with her. So I always had to have that brave face. And she said something to me that, I think the week before she passed, she was telling me that she was she 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 wished that she didn't say certain things to me when I was younger. She was kind of like going through her trials and tribulations,
Yeah, of course.
and she said something to me. I should have loved you for who you were instead of me trying to, love you for, the way she wanted me to be. So
Mhm.
I think that really hit me to a point that I had to leave the room and cry because I was like, oh my God, she gets it now. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
so
I think a loss of any type is very it leaves such a huge void in our lives.
mhm,
And for me, okay, so when I went through my divorce, um, one day I had a family of 3 kids and a wife, and the next day I didn't.
mhm,
And it was like you, it wasn't something I could control. It's not something that I could have a say in. It was said for me, and it was done for me, and I couldn't stop it. And for me, it was a loss. It was like I had lost again my loved ones. I had lost people that I cared about and loved about so much, and thought I'd never see them again. And for a long time, I didn't.
mhm, mhm.
And it takes a toll on someone. It's traumatic. We find therapy like you did in your artwork,
Mhm,
in your writing, and now putting together your book.
mhm.
And it's an evolution of who Joyce is, being able to take your past experiences, your traumas, your feelings, your emotions, your senses, the words that has been on your heart all these years to put on paper and to tell the story. And I think there's some there's some courage in a person to do something like that,
Yeah.
to put everything on paper. There is a vulnerability that you open yourself up to, saying, hey, this is kind of my story, so I'm kind of making myself vulnerable to the world. And there's that fear of whether or not people are going to like it.
Mhm,
But I can tell you what, as you can see already, what's been happening with you, and the responses, the good responses, great responses that you've been getting,
mhm.
and the views that you've been getting, and the success of your book, and now another collaboration with another gentleman, and also talking about 3-part series in your book.
Yes.
You needed to go through that past trauma and that past loss because it helped you to move into this new phase of Joyce's life, of
Yes.
Joyce's creativity,
It, it,
of your art, and of your writing.
you know, like I said, all my life I was just submissive and very like, you know, um, just did my thing. I never really wanted to be seen or get myself out there. I was content,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, after my parents' death, that changed me.
Yeah.
That changed me to saying, okay, I want to leave something. I want to leave a legacy to my daughter. I want to leave something. I want to be it's not like I want to be known, but I want people to know who I was, to
Mm-hmm.
leave that mark on people if I change them in some way or I encourage them to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, that's leaving a legacy. So like if something ever happens to me, I know that I inspired somebody. And I think that
Yes.
was the most important thing, that I will not be forgotten.
No.
Um, because like I said, with the experience of watching both my parents pass away, you know, my mom's like, I haven't lived enough. I'm what am I leaving behind? And so it was very um it was a shock to me, like, okay, like it changed my perspective of life
Yeah.
totally different,
Sure.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
um like I said, right after that happened, I was in a dark place. I did things that I shouldn't have done, and
Yeah.
I
We
was
all do that. Trust
yeah,
me, we all do
we
that.
were in a dark place. But with this was a basic a therapy for me. Um, like I said, it reads like a movie. It's a short book. It's, you can the font is big. I mean, the font in it is big. You know,
Mhm. Yeah,
it has
yeah.
no page. It has no page numbers um, in it, so people can write or read by chapter. The chapters are not long. Let me fix my hair. Um, so the chapters are not long, and so it's just relatable and people can read it. So, but
Well, let me ask then. Let me ask. So
yeah,
we are talking about your book. We are with Joyce Boskin. I'm sorry, artist first, and
yes,
then writer.
artist
Um,
first. Yes, I'm
and then
always
writer.
going to be a writer,
So
an artist.
let me ask, what can we look forward to without giving away too much on the next book of
The next book is
Twilight
the
Realm?
Twilight Realm, The Old Ways.
The
The
old ways.
next book is a sequel. It's kind of like the Next Generation, um, and it kind of leaves off from the first one.
Okay.
So, and it's about siblings looking for um, a David who is part of the realm, and like I said, there's without giving anything away, it's just two siblings finding a new realm. Eve will be back um, in that book. Also, Boone. Um, I do want to show the characters, so I'm gonna pop.
Okay.
Whoop, I'm gonna
Yes.
pop those up.
Now, okay. Correct me if I'm not right. If I'm not correct in saying this, but I believe last time we spoke here on our live
Yes, my
was
sister will be in
incorporating. Cool. All right.
it.
Cool.
I
Just
knew
needed
I
to
knew
ask.
what you're saying. I said my sister's personality will be in somebody. So this is
Absolutely.
the
Look at
artwork.
that.
Yeah. This is the artwork that was in my first book. And it's in the back. And that's Ivan. So this is Eve.
Okay.
Ivan.
Main character is
Yeah.
Eve. Yep.
Yeah, Ivan. And then this is Eve's mother. And
Oh
then
wow.
this is Bercha, and she's pretty much the dark.
She's the
Um,
villain.
she's the villain, but she's misunderstood villain.
Misunderstood villain.
So
Okay. Got it.
she's the dark half of myself. So Eve is my personality, and Bercha is basically the dark side of me
Gotcha.
that has the jealousy, has the misunderstanding of
Hmm.
wanting more and not getting that, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
so that's Bercha, and uh oops, and that's Hans and Lucas. So
Okay.
Eve
Yeah, I remember
befriends
seeing that.
them.
Hmm.
Yeah, Eve befriends them. Hans is the father, and
Okay.
he is Evelyn's playmate back in Germany. So, and
Nice.
then Lucas is his son. So,
Okay, I have to say I have a favorite one that you put out, Blue.
oh, Blue is yeah, that's in the second book. But,
Yeah, she's my favorite so far.
oh, okay. So this one here is Renee. So that's Eve's best friend. Um, this is the in between. So this is when she goes into the forest and she finds a clearing with a huge stone in it that has symbols swirling in it. So I
Hmm,
tried to adapt that. And I have this also in my book for the art.
very cool.
So um, that's some of the characters. Let me see if I can go.
And that this is all characters from the
The
first book,
first
Twilight
book,
Realm.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
this is Bride. So she's the good fairy. Um, She's the queen of the fairies, and Bercha
Okay.
is her sister. So they're sisters, the light
Mm.
and the dark.
That is
um,
such a Gemini thing, I tell you.
yeah. This is Nellie. Nellie is a the alchemist of the realm.
Oh, okay.
So she does all the, conjuring and the magic and helping Eve overcome her powers. So, and then Buck and Noel, I think I showed you this before. I'm not sure.
This is the
These,
first I'm seeing this.
yeah, these guys are gnomes, okay? So
Okay.
these guys are my father. So two sides of my dad,
Wow.
but they're also the comic relief in the story. Um, so yeah, they're uh, they're fun. They're fun. They're
That is
serious.
so cool.
Yeah. So they're the gnomes, and then also Eve, and then I also digital backgrounds for it. So I drew all that
Hmm.
and put it in my book. And then there's
Very nice.
Boone. Boone is Ivan's sidekick, so
Gotcha.
he's in there, and that's a guardian. And guardians are awakened by Evelyn when she got lost in the forest when she was little. So these come out of the trees, and that's what
Wow.
they look like. So, but yeah, so that's the pretty much the characters in my first book. Let's see.
You not only have to come up with the traits of the character, but what the character needs to look like, um, whether it'll be male or female, or a fairy or a gnome, or whatever the case is. I mean, there's so much thought process behind that. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then there's also Boone changes into a cat in the book. So
Wow.
yeah,
Huh, I can see that. Okay.
yeah. So, but like I said, the book is it's a fun book. You can sit down and read it. Um, so
Well,
when I
tell us, Joyce, where can we find said book, Twilight Realm?
It's on Amazon. It's on the link on my bio. The Kindle version is $4.99, and my drawings are still on the back of the Kindle. And the book is $15.99, the paperback, and my art is back there. I don't do commission arts, so if anybody likes my arts or wants my prints, I suggest that you buy Twilight Realm. All my prints of the book are back there, so you get like for a discount. For all my art in the back,
Yeah.
$15.99. Um, Usually, I charge $50 for some of my 50 to $150 for my commissions. So for the price of $15.99, you can get at least 9 drawings of my work if you enjoy my work. So, but
Which is actually not only get the print work from you, but also you get a beautiful storytelling.
yes, yes,
So,
and
I mean,
like I said,
you
and I'm
can't ask for a better price than that.
yeah, $15.99, and they print it on demand. So, if there's a printing company around the world, like I said, I have
Mhm.
it around the world. Some only do Kindle, but there's wherever they have a printing, publishing, or printing company around in Europe and stuff like that, they will print it. It's weird. I sold some in Austria, and I think there's a printing press in Germany, but
Mhm.
my family lives in Switzerland, and they only can get the Kindle version. So, either or. If you like a good fantasy, you want to escape for a few hours, I think this is a good book for you. So,
I can imagine you get a call from Amazon movies or
Amazon
Netflix and
Prime,
say,
Netflix,
hey,
Netflix.
yeah, Netflix,
Yeah.
and hey, we want to make a movie out of your book.
Mm,
You got three coming up. We want to make a 3-part series of it.
yeah.
I think that would be just amazing.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would be like crying in the corner because I'd be, I would be, yeah. But like I said, it reads like a book. There is another book I wanted to talk about in something I read, and then they made it into a movie. And can I just tell you, and it's a famous book, and
Mhm.
I like the movie better than the book. It
Okay,
was yeah.
before you share, let's do a little bit of recap. I'm talking to artist, writer,
Yeah.
mother, friend. I am talking to Joyce Foskin. If you're not following her on Instagram, you need to go follow her. Go find her and follow her. You can follow her right through here. She has some beautiful artwork that she has just shown us on her iPad. She's got a beautiful new book that's out called Twilight Realm, which is going to be now, we're finding out, we're getting the scoops firsthand, to be
Mm,
a 3-part series. She's also going to be doing a collaboration on another book, a different type of book that's going to be coming out. You can find her work on Amazon for the actual book itself, Twilight Realm. You can
mm,
also find the book on Kindle as
mm.
well. But I mean, we just talked about it. You can't get a better price for the artwork and the beautiful story if you don't get the book. So I suggest that you get the book.
Yes.
Again, we are talking to Joyce
Please.
Foskin. For those of you just joining, and for those of you who'll be watching the replay on our YouTube channel, The Only Elephant in the Book, please make sure you go there and subscribe to our channel so you can watch this and other videos, other past podcasts that we have done. But with that, Joyce, there is a book you wanted to share with us. I think you said it became a movie,
It, it
but you
became a
enjoyed the book better?
movie. It wasn't mine, but it was funny because I enjoyed the movie better than the book.
Okay.
Um, it was the
Coming from a writer, that's
yeah,
way different.
yeah. I know that, but um, it was The Giver. I don't know if you're
Okay.
aware of it, but I read the book and then I saw the movie, and I enjoyed the movie a lot more than
Uh,
when I read the book.
I
Uh,
might be thinking of the wrong movie. I want to say it was the one with Kevin Hart.
no,
Okay, never mind. It's the wrong movie.
no. Jeff Bridges was in it.
Okay.
Some newer actors were in it, but it was based on a society. It came out when the Hunger Games came out and
Okay.
stuff. uh, The movie did.
Hmm.
Um, and I read
So it's fairly recent.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was a recent movie, but
Hmm.
the book is an older book, and it's about a society that um, didn't have feelings. Like they didn't have parents. You were assigned different careers. You didn't have a choice.
Mm.
Everything was black and white, and then the giver is part of the person that has like all their past of the world in them, so I enjoyed the movie a lot more than the book, and that book was tiny. That book was like this big,
Mm.
so it was like 200 pages. um don't get me wrong, the book, kids had to read in school and stuff like that, um but I really enjoyed the movie over the book, and I think that's probably one of the um when you try to read a book and then watch a movie, sometimes it's just not the same. But that one, I actually like the movie better. So,
Okay, so I'm gonna age myself here. I'm gonna show my age right now. But when I was in, I want to say the 5th grade, I believe it was, I read a book, and I'm sure once I say it, you're gonna know what it is. But I did read this certain book, and I couldn't put it down. I actually read the book 3 times. It was a short book. It was a YA book, young adult book.
yeah.
Um, and then the movie came out maybe several years back, so there was a long gap in between the book again in the movie, kind of like what you were saying. And I disliked the movie 1,000%.
Mhm.
The book I read, I couldn't put it down, and for me, that's rare. But this is one book that stuck with me forever, and I've been looking for an original copy of it, and can't find it. The book is called A Wrinkle in Time. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's the Disney version with that came out recently with Disney. Disney Plus had it.
Yes, I disliked the movie. I think the movie was just crap. The
Yeah,
book,
I
I
bet the book
loved.
was better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can understand that.
the book was just so much better. I got lost watching the movie. I tried to watch it a few times, and I got lost, and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah,
But when I
yeah,
read the book, I was looking for original copy of the book. It's a tiny little book again, maybe about 200 pages,
yeah,
but man, it was such a great book. I was like, I could feel the different emotion that the author wanted me to feel. I could I could sense the danger. I could sense the happiness. I could feel these different things that the writer wanted me to feel just by painting it in words.
yeah.
Kind of like what writers do, kind of like what you do. You paint the
Hmm.
story with just words. And there's
Yeah,
added bonus to it with your artwork at the end of the book. I think that's amazing. I think it's beautiful.
and I wrote it, and like I said, I wrote it that if somebody read it, it would be like I can see this as a movie. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
if somebody, knock on wood, if somebody picks it up to make a movie, it's all there. It's there's nothing to change. You know what I mean? Um, People are like, "Oh, I can see." Would you want it an animated series? I'm like, no, I want a live action with CGI,
Right.
but
Right.
I don't want it as an animated series. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of seriousness in there that I couldn't see it as a cartoon. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it would be awesome to have you on set consulting. No, this character needs to be this way.
Yeah,
This is the darker side of this character, so she needs to be this way.
yeah,
This is the lighter side. These two gnomes, they need to kind of play off
yeah,
each other because really they are one person in real life.
yeah, yeah,
So they need to really coordinate with each other, their emotions, their feelings going back and forth. Even if it's comedic relief, they have to be relatable to each other because in real life, you're telling the story of a single person in your life,
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's such a beautiful thing that you would do something like that. So I'm seeing a symbolism. I'm seeing a symbolism of twos for you. Is two a special number for you?
Twos? No.
Yes. You have two characters with two sides in your
Oh,
book.
well, that's well, it could be.
Yeah.
I never even thought of it that way because basically the book is about balance. Everybody has a light side and everybody has a dark side,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to mingle those together to become who we are because nobody can be all positive all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I can I ever met somebody that positive all the time. But we have those two different behaviors of light and dark inside of us, but we have to coexist. So it makes us who we are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did that a lot in my book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really knowing the balance of the story of light and dark and who we are. You know.
Mm-hmm. Hey, hey, Suchi, how are you? She's part of our community
Um,
now. There is
Hello.
there's a duality I can see with these characters in your book, and even like with maybe in your upcoming books, uh, possibly an evolution of the duality and understanding of now the duality having the separation or something like that. I mean, there's so much that you can do with these characters and these stories now. You've planted the foundation, which is this book,
Yeah.
Twilight Realm. So
Yeah.
it's there now for you to build up on it and build up on it and build up on it until finally you get to knock on the door. You get a message or an email that says, "Hey, we want to turn your book into a
Yeah.
movie."
I'm
You
waiting
know,
for that day.
so am I. I'm believing it for you. I'm believing it for you. We're putting it out in the
Yeah.
universe.
Yes.
Um, there is so much that I think experience, and we want to. I want to talk about this a little bit. I also want to be mindful of your time because I know
Mhm.
there's a time difference, so I want to make sure I watch that. But one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit was when other artists, or say like a new artist that's coming up and saying, you know, Joyce, I really would like to be able to create characters that have a certain feel, a certain look, to be understood, to be accepted by society. How would I go about thinking up creating characters that have never been seen before, like you? How many characters now that you've created from your first book alone? How many characters are there altogether?
Oh gosh.
Or
Um,
six, seven, eight,
yeah, about
nine?
9
Okay,
characters total.
I kind of counted real
Um,
quick in my head. So
yeah.
to for me to even come up with one character to have a look and a feel and an understanding and an energy, I think it would take me like forever to come up with something like that. But for a new artist, any new artist that might be watching, any new artist that might be looking at the replay, um, what kind of advice can you give them to start them on the path of creating characters for a book that they want to write?
So I created my characters after I wrote about them. So so if somebody wanted to write a book and they create their characters based on me, like I wrote a lot of characters based on me. Um, my daughter is Eve, so her resemblance is my daughter. The gnome's my father. But when I wrote everything down, when I described them, that's what I wanted people to see. So a lot of people that read it didn't realize the art was in the back. And they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize you had art in the back. And, or like on a Kindle version, they don't realize there's art in the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
They imagine what I put on the back of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a nice surprise, like an extra bonus that, oh my God, this is how I pictured them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, so when creating an original character, you just go based on, describing something, what you like. I mean, all fairies are going to have, pointy ears, wings, but create something like I based some of my characters off of me. The last one I drew was me. I used my face to draw. I mean, I changed my eye color, my hair, and but it is basically the foundation of my face.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my characters are that based on me, based on people I know. Um, so you can create from what you know. That's how I create. I
Mm-hmm.
create what I see. But most of the characters are me and my daughter and friends of mine. And it's funny sometimes when I do I'm more of a portrait drawer. I like to draw the
Okay.
portrait,
And
but
that's
like
evident in your post. You can see that in your post.
yeah. But if I have to do a full body pose, I'm taking a picture of myself doing a full body pose, or
Mm-hmm.
I have my daughter come over here, hold something up, let me see your hand,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
sketch that. Um, so it's and I invested in those little plastic dolls that you can pose them to, but
Your little
I think
mannequins. Yeah.
yeah. So I but I'm better off of seeing somebody pose
Mm-hmm. Sure.
than the
Yep.
little figure. Um but yeah, a lot of the art is based on me, you know my emotions, certain times of my life, some photos of me when I was younger, so
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, with the and I did portraits of celebrities. I did portraits
Yeah,
of
I saw
some
that.
followers,
Yeah.
not portraits, but like a celebrity I talked to. I did a soccer picture of him. And then I did a portrait of a follower that wanted me to draw him. You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah, mostly it's me, my feelings, my face shape, um, different eyes,
So
but
I think in your third book, and I'm going out there. I'm putting it out in the universe. In your third book, I think I'd like to be a warrior. I'd like to have muscular body and maybe like a minotaur and have horns coming out of my head that's really curly, and I have a staff at the end. There's a little pointy on it, and my character is one that is very jovial, that likes to make people laugh. My character likes to have conversations with people. My character likes to. Where am I going with this? I'm imposing, and I'm just joking with you, but I was thinking to myself, man, I can see myself as a character in her third book
yeah, yes,
as a warrior.
there you go. I do wanna show you some of the characters, and it's not private because I've posted them on my wall. But
Okay, good. I was just going to ask that.
um,
Okay, good.
some of my
You're
characters on the
welcome to share
second,
whatever you'd like,
yeah.
please.
So this is the next generation, and this is Owen, Lily, and
Whoa.
David. These are the kiddos, okay?
Wow.
And this is
Owen,
Lily.
Lily, and David.
Yeah, this is Lily grown up.
Wow.
This is David grown up.
Okay, I saw that
Yeah,
one. Again, the
yeah.
eyes. The eyes is what draws you in.
That's Owen,
Owen.
and this is the king of the new realm that they discover.
Hmm.
So, and then of
Is
course,
is he the anti-hero?
anti-hero. Is he the villain? You say no.
Well, I mean, I know
Well,
you
kind
don't
of,
you don't
but
want to
no.
necessarily use that word. Yeah. Okay.
His name is King Sai, which is SY.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah. Eve is back, and there's Boone on his shoulder, on her shoulder.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some of the realms. So I was taking photos of some of the different forests, and this is going to be the background in England at the Forest of Dean
Oh,
is
very
the second
nice.
book. So
Okay.
there's a moonstone involved. In the original book, I used a amethyst, and this is the
Okay.
amethyst that's in the first book. Okay,
Copper rat.
and then
Copper rat.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, this is Prim. Now Prim is in the new realm, and she's the fawn of the new realm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is the old man of the forest. So in my
Okay.
first book, um, there's a guardian of the groves, and the one in the black forest is a white stag is the guardian of the groves,
Is
and this is
is this
this
character meant to be one that does not have sight?
no, he just has green eyes,
Oh, okay.
but he's very into the trees, and he's he is the sentinel of the groves. So he can travel from our human forest to the realms, but he
Oh,
protects the
wow.
realm.
Okay.
Okay, so he's the Malorn, which Malorn was the white stag, in the first book,
Okay.
and then there's Lucas and Renee Older, and I think that's it. And then I have the movie trailer. Um,
That's that. I think that's the one you sent me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the volume's not up, but yeah, that's the movie trailers that I have out
That
now.
is so
Yeah.
cool. That is so cool.
So yeah, it's a cool thing. So
That
I
is
do
cool.
like the
And
new cover of the book though. I was happy with it. So, but
the book has a new cover. Is that what you showed me now?
yeah,
Can I?
that covers of the new book. Let me just show you really quick. Um,
That artwork is just amazing, Joyce. I think the color, the way you blend it, I see now with this one, there's an evolution of, I think, art XYZ was talking about layering. I saw
yeah.
that in this work now.
So this is the cover of the new book, The
Nice.
Old Ways. So, um, I just kind of wanted to keep it into the realms. And
Yep.
then, of course, you saw the book cover for Twilight Realm, which
Yep.
is that single tree. Now, the reason why there's a single tree is there it is a portal to the realm too. So
Okay.
the tree is very important in my book. So, but like I said, you know, I think you'll enjoy it, and I really want people to feel it, enjoy it, and get
Mhm.
my artwork on top of it for the low price of $15.99.
I,
So
I I believe you're doing it the right way by putting yourself out. And I think we talked about this. So we're going to get a little bit personal for a few minutes, but we talked about how it's difficult for us as creators to put ourselves in front of a camera.
yeah,
There's that vulnerability, there's a risk, there is so much involved that we might um, put ourselves through for the sake of wanting to tell our story, to show our artwork, to share our books. Um, Again, it's not easy getting in front of the camera and doing what we're doing.
no,
It's not easy putting our life story out on pages and on social media and on the interweb to go globally and have people. There's going to be people who like what we present. There's going to be people that are not going to like what we represent or what we show, and it's okay. I think the more we do what we're doing now, coming on every week and putting yourself out, like with your book and telling your story, sharing about your artwork, where you can find it, um, we begin to have a more of a tough skin, so to speak,
yeah,
where we don't take things so literally anymore. We're not affected by the negative comments. We're not affected by the negativity that others may have. Because really, I've said this before in a personal uh, uh, lives or personal podcasts that not everything in life is light and love. It really isn't. It's like in your book, there's that duality. There's the lighter side and the not so light side,
yeah,
and everybody has it. I know I have it as well, and it's not something that we necessarily show or represent on our social media or on our platform because we want the world to see a certain side or a certain story about us
yeah,
and understand that. And there are going to be people who are just going to be totally negative Nancy's and Karen's about, oh, he, all he does is talk. All he does is this. All she does is that. And
yeah,
these are the people that don't take advantage of the creativity,
hmm
don't take advantage of their courage, don't take advantage of their passion, and
hmm
really have no joy because they're not following what their heart is telling them to do. They're not following to what they're being encouraged to do. They're not following to what they were growing up experiencing. And unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with that. So I want to say to you tonight that being on here with us in our podcast and being put in our replay at our YouTube channel the only elephant in the room. Links in our in my bio. If you're not following me yet, you can find it there. But we begin to have that tough skin. And it's going to be easier for you to press that go live button the next time you want to talk about the book, or
Yeah.
go live with somebody else the next time you want to talk about art, or go live the next time you want to talk about how to write. You
Yeah.
know, there is a story that I knew you had to tell,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad I listened to my intuition to contact you and see what your thoughts were on coming on here with us and sharing your story tonight. And I
Hmm.
want to say thank you for doing that. It's on a whole different level for you to share a personal story, put it in words, print it up, and also include your artwork on that. So for
Hmm.
those of you who are watching, who just joined, our replay viewers, we have been talking to Joyce Foskin. She is an artist, a writer, in that order, and a mom.
Yeah.
If you're not following her on Instagram, go look for her at Joyce Foskins. You have to get her book. We've been talking about her book now for the last hour and a half. On Amazon, you can get a physical copy, which is where you want what you want to get. It is under $20. It is under $16 for this book
Hmm.
with Amazon, and you get a bonus of her artwork in the back of it, besides an amazing story. And there are two other books coming up. That is a continuum of that three-part series. You can get the book on Kindle, but
Hmm.
really, you're not going to get the actual feeling of the book and the understanding of the book and what uh, Joyce wants to share. Good night, Tom. When you get the physical copy, something different about smelling the brand new pages and looking at the artwork. And I mean, it's made so simple for people who are even non-readers like myself to look at
Hmm.
this book and say, I can finish this book in the night.
Yeah.
You probably want to read it
Well,
again.
some
So,
people do, but some people don't. It takes the people that don't read a lot or don't have time to read, at least they can read from chapter to chapter.
mhm,
Like I said, I don't have page numbers in it, so you have to read till the next chapter. And I get people because they're like, but I finished the chapter, now I want to read the next one. You know what I mean? So they end up sitting and reading the whole thing. Um, but like I said, I brought it out there. It was my experience.
mhm, mhm,
So it's the experience of my life, but in a fantasy form. It reads like a movie. Um, I want it to be a movie, but but it reads like a movie. And like I said, my heart is in
yeah,
there, and I think there's
yeah,
a lot of people that want to go out there and write. They want to write their experiences,
yeah,
and that's my advice to any new writer or young writer, is to write your experience and write what you
mhm,
know, and put that in there. Do your research on places you've never been to. I did a lot of research. I tied that into real experiences of going to different places to kind of find that smell, that taste, you know. So, um, but like you did, Luca, with your journals, you know, you have a lot in there, but it could be a book based on what you were experiencing and how you were feeling during that time. And every book has, um, you weren't sure to write it, and I said people can relate. You know,
yeah,
there's going to
yeah,
be somebody out there that can relate to you,
yeah,
and I want my book to relate to people and their feelings and of grief, of balance, of light and dark. You
the
know,
duality. Yeah. I
and
think your book is going to be very relatable, Joyce, because you are very relatable.
oh,
I think your book is going to be well accepted by many because Joyce is well accepted by many.
yes, I'm nice.
And I think because of all of the passion, the research, the time, the effort, the energy, and also all of the senses that you have used to put this book together. I think for me, I've only known a couple people that have written books, and a lot of it was, telling a story or drama, and it wasn't very personal. You're the first author, you're the first artist, author that I've actually got a chance to speak with that the story is very personal
And
and the
that you can
story
feel it.
is
That's
very relatable. Yeah, very relatable. Very,
yeah.
very.
And
Is
like I said,
there? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
with
Go ahead.
any young author, I my advice to you is show, don't tell. You can tell a story, but you need to show it too. You need
Mm,
to put that taste, that smells, that
mhm,
just all those senses into
mhm.
the book, because that's what's going to make it feel real. You know what I mean? So by
Yeah,
telling and telling a person what they're doing in your book, it's just telling a person what they're doing. It's almost
yeah,
like a robot. You
yeah.
want to experience what they were feeling and
Mhm.
being, part of that. So I always suggest that with young writers, um, to put your experience and show, don't tell. So
Well, your book is the inspiration that new artists and new writers need. Your book is the testimony that people who have gone through traumatic loss, um, and the dualities that we face in life. It's the testimony that someone is going to need to hear. That's what your book is.
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you're so at this level of being so relatable that anybody like me off the street can come up to you and say, "Hey, I want you to come on my podcast and I want you to share your story."
Yeah.
Would you think about something like that? And for you, there was no hesitation. For you, it was like, "Yeah, I could do that."
Well, we
And
did that by
I
just
felt that.
doing a live together, but and then you're like, hey,
Yeah.
why don't we
So
change this into my YouTube? Yeah.
we, I would like you to consider, when your next book comes out, to come back and talk to us about that book and share more about that book and give us some insights, and we can ask questions. You can share. I have an idea about bringing on another artist, who does similar type of work like you, and have them be a part of it. Once we've talked about your new book that's going to be coming out, um, I'm excited about this next book coming out for you. I can feel like there is, a lot more work and research, and writing that you're going to be doing. I see you've got some of the artwork down, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, I mean, I guess for me as a young boy growing up, I don't know if this is every boy, but we all have this ideal of what the woman we want to look like we get married to when we get older. And I think for me, what hit me was when I saw your latest one of your latest posts, which was Blue, that character.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost a spinning image of what I envisioned growing up as a young boy and into my teens, going, man, when I marry somebody, I want to marry a woman that looks like this. This is my idea of what I think a woman that I would really like. Now, mind you, I did find someone like that I was kind of married. I was married to for a few years. Almost similar looks, very attractive lady. Didn't work out, of course, but when I saw that post that you put up, I was like, wow, that's an incredible piece. It spoke to me a lot.
That's
And
what
again, your characters, the eyes, I'm drawn to the eyes a lot.
a lot of people are,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that they are, um, as artists out there. Like I said, they're putting their stuff out there, and
Mm-hmm.
all we can do is support them.
Mm-hmm.
I do my best to support everybody, and
Yeah, I see that.
it's a little overwhelming sometimes because of my growth so quickly.
Yes.
But but yeah, there is a lot of artists out there that really put their stuff out, and they just need that love. So artists support artists.
Yeah.
I mean, I see support loops all the time, and I appreciate those people that do it. But it gets people out there. It gets people their art showing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I always suggest that creators and artists support each other, um,
Yes.
and and don't fight over, you draw better than me. Nobody draws better than anybody. You just have to practice the craft, um, and draw your style and perfect your style. So that's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with you draw better than me. I can say there's a lot of artists that draw better than me, but I know I'm a perfectionist at my art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need
Yeah.
to be like this person over here. I'm who I am. This is my
Mm-hmm.
expressions, and that's
Yeah.
what art is it's an expression. So it's part of the person that's drawing it. So it's just important that we all support each other, even if it's just crafting and um, clay making, pen making, wood making, um, anything like that. We should just all support each other and not say, oh, well, this person's better than me, or we don't like, this person because they make a weird YouTube channel or whatever. It's support each other. I mean, life is too short to be haters.
You know, if you actually look back on my Instagram, I've got like 1,450 posts or something like that. I started back in 2017 or 15 or something like that, and I started as I designed jewelry,
Oh,
and it was something
really?
I did that was therapeutic, like how art was weed. But I started because it was therapeutic, and I thought it was fun just putting colors together. And I'm very when it came to me designing jewelry, I was very influenced by color combinations,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that for a while. In my I don't know, my first year or so was only jewelry that I created and designed and sold, and then it got a little bit too big for me, and I started to work with foundations and different people that wanted more than I was willing to give into it. So I stopped for a while. But I started to pick it up again because people are like, hey, we want you to come and design something for us for this foundation, for our church. We want you to design something like this for us. And so I started kind of picking it up again, but it is something that's on the back burner and that's not a priority for me because I really would love to get my book finished. And I've been doing what you said. I just keep writing, like when I'm writing my journal. So in the morning when I write my journal, as soon as I'm done meditating, I hit my book and I
Mm-hmm.
start journaling. I start writing I continuing with my book. And I've gotten to the point now where I've made some progress. So I think I'm till like 20 pages in now since I started, which for
That's
me is
awesome.
kind of a big thing. So there is a story in it. There is some inspiration, there is some motivation, and there is some healing for all of us in when we create. There is a lot of connections that we make with other people, like you and I, and other people in our community that help us to kind of move us to the next step of our evolution, to take us to the next step of where our next book, like yours, is coming out with new characters and a
Yeah.
continued story. And then the third book coming out after that, I won't give away too much, but a prequel, man, that's the way to do it. It really is the way.
It's like the Star Wars type
I
thing,
know.
you know?
Yeah, I didn't want to compare it to that
Yeah.
because I think it's a different genre, but yes, I
Yeah.
get it. Is there anything else, Joyce, you would like to share with us and our community and our replay viewers before
Uh,
we finish our podcast up?
I, I pretty much talked about artists, but also writers support another,
Yeah.
or artists support writers, because there's a lot of self published authors out there that are just getting their stories out.
Mm.
And the reason why they're self published is because they don't want their story changed. Publishers will change your story. So self-published people do not want their stories changed. They don't want to add more or a different concept. You want to make sure that these are some stories out there, mine, friends of mine that are starting to write their stories. Read them. And they're probably like there's some stories that are self-published that became movies or shows on Netflix, just because they didn't have that touch of a publisher. Like, you should do this with your character. You should do this.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a self-published author because I did not want my book changed, in any way to fit everybody's bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why we do that. Self-publishers, they don't want want publishers to touch their stuff.
Which I believe and I agree with. And I mean, point in case, there is a very famous comedian now that was trying to get published, if you will, on Netflix, and they decided to turn him down not once but twice. And now today he's one of the hottest comedians. He sells out every time he comes to Hawaii or wherever he goes. I think the last time he was here, first time he came down, he did 8 shows because he kept selling out and people kept buying his tickets. And second time he came back, again, another 6 shows. So I agree. When you're a creator, no matter what kind of work that you do create, writing, artists, or even stand-up comedians or jewelry designers, or even getting on here and doing something like this, the creating of a podcast and speaking to guests. And I don't want my work touched. Like, you don't want your work touched. And that's why a lot of our replay goes up as unedited. There's some that I have been doing some editing to it, but I like my work not to be touched because there's a feeling, there's an organicness to it, there's an emotion that I want people to get that wasn't here on the live, and you can only see it if the work's not touched.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I
agree with you on that. 100% agree on that.
But that's pretty much all I have, and it's 1 a.m. here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm like,
Well, when the conversation is really good, and conversation is going really good, we lose track of time.
Yeah, of course.
But I want to be mindful of that. Joyce, I want to thank you for being our guest tonight on our 3 Plus Me podcast, our weekly podcast. We do look forward to having you come back and share your latest book that is coming out.
Yeah.
We appreciate the time and effort that you put out in our community and sharing with others and sharing your reels. Don't stop. That's why you're in the community. Please keep sharing that.
Of course.
And thank you again tonight for taking time out of your night, being so late for you on the East Coast. My night hasn't even started, but we appreciate you giving up a little bit of your night with us tonight, sharing your book. Again, the book, Twilight Realm, is out now on Amazon. Go and get it. Follow Grace Boskin. Go look at the link. I'm sure she has the link on her Instagram profile. Go get the book. And there's artwork too. The bonus of it, there's artwork in the back of that book, and it's under $16. You can't beat that price. You cannot. You can also get it on the Kindle, but we're not going to really talk about that because we want you to get on Amazon and get the physical copy.
Get the book.
Get the full experience. Get the book. Get the full experience.
Yeah.
Joyce, thank you again so much. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Thank you for taking time out. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and also sharing your art and your creativity with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I think I approach you. I think I approach you with this one though. This time, can we do an interview?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So.
And I'm glad you did. I wanted to have you come on and do a fun one with us, so I'm glad we did it. Yeah. I was looking forward to it tonight. I was a little bit nervous, but I was looking forward to it.
Okay.
So thank you so
worries.
much. Grace,
okay.
Have a great weekend. Joyce, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye, everybody.